This is the most Skypiea-like chapter of One Piece that I've read in a while. What I mean by that, it's a chapter that primarily focuses on the adventure of it all. It's Oda having fun with his art. The focus is very limited. Like, you literally feel like you're aboard the Sunny with the rest of the crew, just discovering these new facets, these new locations. You're not thinking about fights, you're not thinking about the expansive universe. You're just kind of anchored there with the main character's point of view, going along with the journey. And it's one of those chapters where it's like you can summarize it in like 2 or 3 sentences, but you have to experience it. This chapter is a very, very stark contrast between the chapters that we've been getting recently. The recent chapters have been very broad and focused. There's like cuts and shifts to different characters and different locations. This is more like, centered. So it's very different. So we start off with Orlumbus, who is now giving supplies to the poor people of the island that he was previously attacking. And it cannot be a coincidence that in the previous chapter, we got introduced to this concept via Marco about Whitebeard giving supplies or using his earnings and money to sustain his hometown. And in this cover story, that same concept just comes back at us, and it's like, yep, so Orlumbus is taking care of this town now. And since Orlumbus is technically part of the Grand Fleet, in theory, you can say that he's doing this under Luffy's name. So he's kind of like sort of expanding Luffy's reach throughout the New World. I'm kind of wondering if he's going to get in trouble for doing this, though. Because I do remember back in Dressrosa, like, Luffy told the rest of the Grand Fleet, like, I don't want to be your commander. I don't want to be the guy giving you orders. But if you need help, if there ever comes a time where you need us to help you, just call us up and we'll be there. So I feel like at some point, something has to go wrong with one of these members so that Luffy can react and answer the distress call or the distress signal. So we're aboard the Sunny, Monkey D. Luffy worth 1.5 billion. And this first page actually gives me hope that we will go back to the Reverie at some point, just because according to the newspaper, the Reverie is still taking place. You can tell by the description of the events. Like, they mention Vivi, and the biggest thing they mention is that she was in the socializing plaza. So what they're reporting, or what Morgans is writing down, isn't that big of a deal yet. So I have faith that eventually we'll go back. There's still time. The Reverie lasts 7 days, so there's still time for Oda to cut back or go back and forth between Wano and the Reverie. That being said, there are some things that I think we for sure need to be at the Reverie for. Like, I will not be happy if all we get is a newspaper article about Dragon's declaration of war. No, we need to be there for that moment. We need to live it. I want to live it just like Robin wanted to live it in Enies Lobby. So Sanji is busy drooling over Vivi, Viola, and Rebecca, and he says something that is actually ironically funny, because he says, do you think these girls are obsessively talking about me over there at the Reverie? The answer is, of course, no. They're actually obsessively talking about Luffy. And that's the thing, that this is the contrast between like Luffy and Sanji. Like, Sanji has like this very, very heavy burden where like he wants this attention from girls and he never gets it. Well, he gets it rarely, or if he gets it, there's always something bad attached to it. Luffy, on the other hand, doesn't care about the attention of girls, and he gets it all the time. It's like a law of the universe or something. The more Sanji wants something, the more likely he is to be sent to an island full of transvestites during the time skip, whereas Luffy gets sent to an island full of women. Chopper is wearing a shirt that says Watame, which translates into cotton candy, because that's his favorite food. And then we see Kureha in the newspaper, and Sanji, I think that's probably the funniest part of the chapter, where he's like, whoa, she's still alive? And Chopper hits him. And, they start cutting the newspaper clippings, and it sucks because there's just one shot of the newspaper, and you see a picture of Big Mom, and I believe it's Judge. It kind of looks like Judge, but then Chopper just kind of cuts that, and we don't know what happens or who it really was about. It could be Kaido as well, because Nami says, like, wait, what happened? It's basically Oda just teasing that future plot point about Kaido and Big Mom. Anyhow, we get this really good-looking panel. The art in this chapter is just phenomenal. But in this case, we get like the entryway into Wano, and it gets confirmed. This is something that I suspected last week, that Wano does in fact have a very strong natural border surrounding it. Not only is it protected by mountains, but it's also protected by shifting waves and really bad weather. Nami's wearing a new outfit throughout, but I still get the feeling that later down the road, the crew has to change into something that's more traditionally Japanese. Kind of like what we saw the rest of the crew wearing during the previous chapter. Because right now, Luffy and Brook are essentially kind of wearing the same thing that they always wear. That being said, this random octopus comes aboard. This chapter is just basically filled with references to traditional old school Japanese art and drawings, and just like the way the hills are drawn. Like, this is Oda really going full force on his Japanese heritage. So there's a sense of pride. You could definitely tell there's a sense of pride right from the beginning stages of this arc. And it's not the first time that Oda has drawn inspiration from other works of art in his work. Like, I remember back in Dressrosa, he gave the character of Jola the ability to turn things into art. And one of the things that she does is that she turns some of the Straw Hats and the Sunny into like a Picasso-like painting. Picasso, of course, being Spanish, Dressrosa being based off of Spain, so it just kind of makes sense that he did that back then. The same thing with Zunisha/Zoe, who is based off of a painting by Salvador Dali called The Elephants. However, I found out that the octopus that shows up in this chapter is actually a reference to a piece of Japanese erotica printed on wood. The painting is called The Dream of the Fisherman's Wife. So I'm gonna leave it up to you. You can Google that or not at your own discretion. Just know that I cannot show you that picture in this video because I don't want this video to be flagged. There's a bunch of carps swimming around upstream in like this weird combination of salt water with fresh water. So Luffy grabs a hold of one of them and actually pulls them to the top of the waterfall, to the top of the mountain. But what I found ironic is that Luffy says, oh, I'm going to catch one of these carps because we can share this after we meet up with Zoro and the rest. But the thing is, after they grab the carp, the crew gets separated again. There's actually a whirlpool at the top of the waterfall, which is another reference to Japanese traditional art called ukiyo-e. This one is actually from a guy called Hiroshige, which actually is funny because it sounds like Shirohige, which is another way of saying Whitebeard. This one is called the Naruto Whirlpools. And speaking of Naruto, that lion that crashes into the Sunny, or rather is thrown into the Sunny by that baboon by the end of the chapter, reminds me of Sai's jutsu. Like, he would draw these ferocious looking lions in the traditional Japanese art style. So that's another reference. And I think like what Oda is trying to say though is that like the animals in Wano are pretty tough. Like Luffy even says, man, these carps that are pulling us up, they're actually pretty strong. There's even like a crab that wakes Luffy up by pinching his nose. Like, what do you think? Where would you rank this crab? Like, is he Yonko Commander level? No, but seriously, there's this giant baboon with a katana that shows up by the end of the chapter. And when I saw that, I was like, wait a minute, is this where Mihawk got his baboons? Like the baboons that he says can mimic human behavior, the ones that Zoro had to train with? Is Wano where they're from? These swordman baboons? It's interesting. I mean, his fur seems to be a lot lighter in color than the ones that were back with Mihawk, but I don't know. He's holding a really big sword, and it's just like straight up obvious that Luffy's going to end up fighting these animals. Unless he can take them out with King's Haki. But I also get the feeling that the reason for why Oda had Luffy get separated is because he wants Luffy to train a little bit more before he comes across Kaido. So I think this would be the perfect opportunity for that to happen. We know that during the time skip, Luffy spent his time training in an island full of very strong animals. So it could be that this is part 2 of that. Before the big encounter, before the big clash with Kaido. And I'm only saying this because I feel that as the fandom is right now, a lot of people would complain if Luffy were to just straight up 1v1 Kaido. That, and I also remember that a while ago, Oda did say that he still had no idea how Luffy was going to be able to take down Kaido. So this could be a good opportunity for him to come up with something. Just kind of like gives him a little bit of a window here to work with. I just really hope that the so-called Wano samurai actually end up being like human samurai and not baboons. And I'm sure they're not, but anyway, I just had to get that out of the way. Thank you so much for watching. Overall, I thought the chapter was okay. Nothing too big in comparison to the previous weeks, but you know, this is like standard like One Piece storytelling. This is how Oda starts building up the hype for each arc. So we needed to go back to this at some point. But aside from that, and then finally, I just want to take this time to just apologize to you guys for the lack of content on my channel recently. There is a reason. I'm gonna be making a video explaining kind of like what's been going on behind the scenes, what's been going on in my head behind the scenes, just so that you know what's up. But you know, I will be going back on track. Like, you know, things should be, you know, back to normal relatively soon. But I just want to apologize for that, and also thank you for being patient with me. But I will be sort of like, you know, letting you guys know what's up. So thanks again. And it's nothing bad. It's just something that I feel like I should share with you. I feel like I owe it to you just to give you an update. So I'll be doing that soon. Thanks again for your patience and everything you do. Catch you guys later. Bye.